Now, if you are learning Chinese or just have an interest in Chinese culture, you will obviously have seen Chinese characters. But in addition to the regular Chinese characters, both simplified and traditional that we see all over the place today, you may have encountered this form of wavy, elongated characters that look very different to the modern ones that we now use. You'll see versions of them in movies about ancient China, in cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender. They use them in this poster for this animated movie about Jiang Ziya. They even use them for the release date. Can anyone understand when the movie's actually coming out? Okay, joke. Dates are still relatively easy to understand even in these characters. They also use them in Chinese logos when they want to look really cultural or mysterious. And most recently, we see these characters being used at the China Pavilion 2025 at the World Expo in Osaka, Japan. Yep, that means China. And this is how you would write the same word in regular traditional characters that we use today. Now, this script is actually an ancient form of writing from over 2,000 years ago, and it is called seal script or 篆书, and this is its story. So the earliest form of Chinese characters in existence, dating from the Shang dynasty, are the oracle bone script or 甲骨文. These were pieces of ox scapula or turtle platerons, which is the underside of a turtle shell, and words would be written on these bones and then they would be heated, and depending on how they cracked with the heat, it would be interpreted as a sign from the gods for the king to act upon. Basically, your so-called experts, like this shaman type guy who looks like he's in touch with his spirit animal who's burning the bones, or this lady who looks like she just got back from Burning Man, would tell you what they think it meant. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't trust her for directions to the local gas station, let alone interpreting a divine message. Anyway, those are the oracle bones characters, and a lot of them are actually really just pictures of a thing they are supposed to be. Like, here is the character for horse in the oracle bone script, and basically it's just a picture of a horse standing upright. As time went on, from the oracle bone script, there evolved another type of script. And that was the bronze script, or 金文, literally metal script, also called 钟鼎文, or bell and cauldron script. Because if you know anything about the Shang dynasty and the early Zhou dynasty, they were really into ceremonial bronze vessels. The bronze script would be created by using a stylus against a clay mold, and that would then be used to cast a bronze vessel with an inscription. And so the material dictates the look of the characters. The oracle bone script was very angular. It's hard to do curved lines in bone, so it's mostly straight lines. But when carving into soft clay, you can create curves much more easily. So in the bronze script, we start to observe more of those curved lines that we're going to see later in the seal script. Using the character for horse again, we can observe that it has become more curvy, and for some reason they emphasize a big eye instead of a head, so it's becoming more of a representation of a horse rather than an actual picture. As time went on and we passed through the Zhou dynasty into the spring and autumn and warring states period, or 春秋战国, this developed into various types of seal script or 篆书. These are the scripts used in official seals of the time, and some of them were really curvy, like this script known as 鸟虫书 or bird and bug script. We can observe this script on the sword of Gou Jian, an ancient and unusually sharp weapon made of tin bronze. It supposedly belonged to the king of the Yue state, or Yue Wang Gou Jian, which would have been this area south of modern-day Shanghai. And look how squiggly and curvy those characters are. And we can put the characters of what it says in modern Chinese next to them so you can see how different this is. The inscription reads, Yue Wang Gou Jian zi zuo yong jian, the sword that King Gou Jian of Yue forged and used himself. So at that time, in the Warring States period, each state had its own way of writing. These scripts were various types of seal script, and many of them are included in what is known as large seal script or 大篆, which had evolved during the Zhou dynasty. But as the dynasty separated into several states, the writing separated into different scripts too. They probably had similarities to each other, but I think it's safe to say that it would be hard to understand writing from different states at the time. But that would all change, along with everything in China, when one man, the king of the state of Qin, made it his mission to send armies out to conquer all the other states and unite the country. This happened in the year 221 BC, and he became the first emperor of China, or Qin Shi Huang, ruler of the Qin dynasty. In order to keep the country together, he had to standardize many things across the empire. The record of the grand historian records he used the law to regulate weights and measures, unified carriage axle widths, and the writing system. Under the direction of the Qin Emperor's Chancellor Li Si, the writing system of the Qin state, small seal script or xiaozhuan, was adopted as the writing style of the whole country. Although it seems there were other scripts that were acceptable at the time too, as we will see in a moment. But the small seal script was the official script of the empire. And if we have a look at the word for horse in small seal script, we can see that there is no longer really an identifiable head or an eye. You'd never really guess it was a horse if it was the first time you'd seen it. So the heavily pictographic element of Chinese characters was now being retired. Radicals, which are elements of characters, were standardized, and this led the way into the modern era of Chinese writing. You can see these characters in Chinese shows about the Qin dynasty. But how did we get from small seal script to modern characters? Well, at this time in the Qin dynasty, the writing brush was apparently invented by Meng Tian. He was the general who led troops up north to build the Great Wall of China. He is the traditional inventor of the writing brush that we all know as Mao Bi, literally hair pen, and that is because he experimented with different animals' hair to make the brush, such as wolf hair and goat's hair. He would dip it in ink and write on pieces of silk that could be sent back to the Qin capital to make a report. Much less time consuming than carving characters into some material like we saw with the oracle bones and the bronzes, etc. Now, whether writing brushes were actually invented by him or he just made his own version of something that people were experimenting with at the time is unclear. Earlier versions of writing brushes have been found in tombs from the Warring State period, but at least we know that writing brushes came into existence around this time. And writing brushes led to the development of what is called the clerical script, or Li Shu, which is a simplified version of small seal script that's quicker and easier to write with a brush, and it forms the basis of all subsequent styles of Chinese calligraphy. Take a look at the character for horse in clerical script. It basically looks pretty much exactly the same as the modern character for horse in traditional characters. It is thought that Qin scribes developed this script when recording information on bamboo slats, which is the material that they used for books at that time, like this example of Qin dynasty laws written down on bamboo from 217 BC. You can definitely see that although there are some characters that have the curvy appearance of the small seal script, many characters on there, for example, zheng, which means upright or correct, and bai, which means 100, have the appearance of modern Chinese, i.e. they are in the clerical script. And actually, clerical script may have been around earlier, that's what some scholars now think, but it was adopted by the Qin scribes and then further developed to maturity into the Han dynasty that followed the short-lived Qin. And if you look at later scripts like cursive, cao shu, or regular script, kai shu, in the formation of the characters, they look very similar to the clerical script. I'm guessing this is because the brush pen was now set as the writing implement of choice in China, and it lends itself to these types of strokes, in contrast to the bronze script and the seal script that developed out of that, which originated from carving into a material. And thus we don't write in those curvy lines anymore, but there is something cool and magical about ancient Chinese writing. And at the China Pavilion at the World Expo, you can see the design of the whole structure is based on those bamboo slats that made up ancient books. And you can see the seal script and what looks like more modern styles of clerical script and cursive. If you're interested, there is actually a website where you can search modern radicals and characters and see what they look like in small seal script. I'll link to it down in a pinned comment below. And look, this is what my Chinese name, Hao Yibo, looks like in seal script characters. Alright guys, that is the video for today. Let me know what your favorite Chinese script is in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And guys, it's difficult to create cultural content on YouTube. The demand isn't as big as with other niches. So if you want to support us, do consider joining as a member for $4.99 a month. You'll get special badges, your comments will be highlighted to us in our back end, so we'll definitely give you an answer if you ask a question. And in the future, we're gonna have members only live streams that you'll be able to join. We need a few more people to join first before we start those, but rest assured, they will be a thing in the future. And you will be supporting reviving traditional Chinese culture. So if you're interested in that, do click the join button next to the subscribe button. But otherwise, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.